Number 10.
Now it's time.
Inland port protests. There were several during 2019, including this one at the Salt Lake Chamber building in July, which resulted in several arrests.
The First Amendment is not a license to violate the law.
The future of the inland port is still in question. Many state leaders say it would create jobs. Opponents say the bad air it would create outweighs any economic good.
They are dirty, polluting warehouse districts powered by diesel. They offer low-paying, frequently temporary employment. The private corporations building them seek tax breaks.
Number 9.
For many years, the Mormon Church has been stockpiling $1 to $2 billion of surplus tithing.
In December, a former financial manager for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints claimed the church has an account with $100 billion in it, which should be taxed by the IRS because it's used only for profitable ventures and not charitable causes. The church responded with a statement which reads in part, "Claims being currently circulated are based on a narrow perspective and limited information. The church complies with all applicable law governing our donations, investments, taxes, and reserves." Number 8.
Yeah, we got people laying around everywhere.
4 Chinese tourists died and more than a dozen others were injured when their tour bus crashed near Bryce Canyon National Park in September. Emergency responders in Garfield County are credited with handling the tragedy well, even recruiting college students such as Jason Chang to help translate.
I feel like when there are needs, it's beyond nations. Nobody cares about where you come from, who are you. They just do whatever they can.
Number 7. Provo police officer Joseph Shinners was killed in the line of duty last January while taking an armed suspect with outstanding warrants into custody. At his funeral, he was honored for his service to his community and his family.
The man who went from being scared to have a baby to snuggling our son to sleep every night. That was the last thing he did before he went to work Saturday night.
Number 6.
This is for the record. Nita and 4 of my grandchildren are burnt and shot up.
9 members of a family with Utah ties were killed in northern Mexico. In November, Donna Langford, Christina Langford Johnson, Nita Miller, and 6 of their children, including 8-month-old twins, were shot to death and in some cases burned in what the Mexican government called an ambush by an armed drug cartel. Some children survived the attack.
What they went through, what they experienced, we don't have the capacity just to imagine what these children went through.
Mexican authorities have arrested several people who they say were involved.
Number 5. An amazing rescue captured on camera. On the morning of October 16th, UHP trooper Ruben Correa had only seconds to save an unconscious man who suffered a medical emergency while driving and was in a car directly in the path of an oncoming train.
He was in danger and I had to get him out of the vehicle as quickly as possible. At that point, I actually wasn't really thinking. I was just doing my job.
Number 4, Proposition 2, gutted.
We're dealing with patients, we're dealing with a fragile population, and we don't have time for political games, and that's what we're dealing with right now, is political pandering to the powers in the state.
Voters approved medical cannabis back in 2018, but in 2019, legislatures replaced it with a state-run system to distribute it through local health departments. After county attorneys objected the legislature, they scrapped the plan, allowing private dispensaries and a state-run site to track it all.
If those who need it can have access to medical cannabis at a reasonable price, then that should be a win for everybody. And we'll work out the details as they come up.
Number 3.
Think of Lizzy and all the things that she loved: rocks, flowers, sunsets, and especially rainbows.
The murder of 5-year-old Elizabeth Shelley. She disappeared from her home on May 25th. Her body was found days later, about a block away. In court, her uncle admitted to sexually assaulting and stabbing the girl. Number 2.
I'm just glad they're changing with the times. They're just catching up to the rest of the world.
Utah lawmakers raised the legal limit of alcohol in beer in 2019 to 5% alcohol by weight. Budweiser sent its famous Clydesdales to Salt Lake, Ogden, and Park City, where funeral processions were held for 3-2 beer. Number 1. The news story which topped our online poll, the murder of University of Utah student Mackenzie Luwak, who went missing in the early morning hours of June 17th.
We went and collected the video surveillance from the airport. You can see her getting off the plane at about 2:09. You can see her on the phone, so we knew that she was on that phone, which is a footprint to follow.
Investigators say she used a rideshare service to get to Hatch Park in North Salt Lake, where she met with a man named Ayula Ajayi. A subsequent search of his Salt Lake City home revealed evidence that had been burned in a backyard fire pit.
Police located a human bone, charred muscular tissue, part of a scalp with hair, a cell phone, and other charred personal items.
Lueck's body was found in Logan Canyon, a place police say they knew the suspect had been based on his cell phone records.
We are filing charges of aggravated murder, aggravated kidnapping, obstruction of justice, and desecration of a body in the homicide of Mackenzie Luwak.